Hello. You're listening to the show Talk with Angela Butler. Today's interview is with Kevin Wendell Thornborn, who is author of the book The Life and Times of Kevin Wendell Thornborn. He's a New York native and resident. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. It's been a while since you've been on the show.
And thanks for having me on your show again. I truly appreciate it.
Yes, I do too. Out of all the shows I did, your show is one of my favorites, and I've did hundreds of shows.
Thank you. I
Yes.
listen to a lot of the programs you do, and it's an honor for you to say that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's a great compliment. So you're working on a second book. Is this the sequel or an entirely different book?
Well, it's a sequel. Like my last book, Harlem's Son, it ended on 9/11/2001. So my second book will pick up after that, and
Okay.
it'll go. My guess is that it'll go through the night of the 2008 elections,
Okay.
and that's where the book will end in that November of 2008.
So I believe that was when President Barack Obama became president.
Correct.
I was going to
Correct.
become president. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yes. That was history being made.
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely. It was history. And I purposely want to stop there because I want to save that period going forward after that election for a third sequel. And that will cover, all of the Obama administration, both Obama administrations, and touch on a little bit of the primaries that we just went through. So I kind of want to save all that information until that third opportunity to write about that period.
Yes, and that's all your books. Those next two books are going to be great. Really
I hope so. I got a lot of information, and it's just a matter of me just, getting the discipline just to sit down and start. And my goal is to start it around the first of the year, right after the holidays. It's like the first week of January, I'll just hit the ground running and try to get it done. My guess it'll be about 18 months. So,
okay.
But I'll get started in just around the first of the year.
So you're in Brooklyn, New York still?
Yes, I am in
Harlem.
Brooklyn, New York.
You're from Harlem?
Originally, yes.
Yes, originally. Your first book, the very first book you wrote that ended about the life and times of Kevin Wendell.
Right, Harlem's Son. Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That book has a lot of history in it, from 9/11 to just a whole lot of history that I did not know about the North because I am in the South.
Yeah, and I get that response all the time when people who read it, they tell me that, and I purposely try to include a lot of history as a backdrop because, in all of our lives, there's history going on, and a lot of times we don't get a chance to chronicle it. And I try to take that opportunity to chronicle all the history that was going on around during that time. And in these upcoming projects, I think the history is going to be so dynamic that I think the interest in it will probably be a lot greater. That's just my opinion. But it seems like people are paying more attention to news now and in current events a lot more than they have in the past.
Yes, I believe so. So we're coming out of the President Barack Obama's history, making 2 terms as President of the United States of America, the most powerful office in the world.
Exactly.
To have here in the world, in the free world. He has held for 8 years and has been elected twice. And,
correct.
that says a lot about America itself.
Yeah, I think it does, and and I think what we're going through now is a lot of backlash against the policies of President Obama. In fact, like during the polling up until the current elections, there were like almost 25% of Republicans still thought that President Obama was not born in the United States, and there were another 30% of those voters who thought that he was Muslim. So it kind of goes to show you where some of the electorate people who in the voting pool, what they really thought about the president at that time and during this time as well. So it's not ironic to me that someone like Trump would resonate with some of those voters.
Yes, and I also feel like the president, not the president, but Miss Hillary Clinton, the ex-secretary of State here in the United States of America and former First Lady of the United States of America, I feel like she was set up.
I do too, but it's the narrative that was put forth by a lot of people in the press and the media, particularly around social media. It really garnered her to be damaged goods, really. A lot of African Americans, they blamed her for the super predator comment, and during the Clinton administration, what he did with his welfare policies and with the lack of prison reform and, the contradictions between, crack cocaine and powdered cocaine, and, how the prison industrial complex exploded.
Reverend Sharpton. That was
I'm sorry?
It was the cocaine and crack was started by Reverend Sharpton. I don't understand. Say that again. You were talking about powder cocaine, crack cocaine. That wasn't started by President Barack Obama. That was
No. I was saying that was policies under the Bill Clinton administration.
Oh, okay.
Where people got more sentences for crack cocaine versus people who were sentenced under powdered cocaine. In fact, there were a lot of prison uprisings during that time where a lot of the people who were incarcerated around the country protested against that. In fact, there were hunger strikes going on at the time. So it was something that a lot of people really held President Clinton responsible for. And I think that in some instances, I think Hillary Clinton paid the price.
Yes, she did. She did. She paid the price of her husband's administration. You're 100% correct. The reason I said it was a setup because in my lifetime, and I'm 46, I have, I don't know right now too many people who ran for president of the United States of America who ran a second term.
Well, it's very difficult to win a second term, but if you look over the last, almost 40 years, you had, starting with, Nixon won a second term, and, Reagan won a second term. And, the second George Bush won a second term, and Clinton won a second term. So we've seen in our lifetime.
After losing, Mr. Thurman, I'm not trying to overtalk you.
Oh, you mean the same party coming into power after a second term? You're right.
No.
It's something that we very rarely see.
No, sir. I'm talking about after losing. I don't know too many people run for president again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you won't see, like, for instance, you won't see, like, someone like Hillary Clinton running for president again. Well, I think mainly because of her age, firstly, because people of that age, when you get into your mid-70s to run for president, I think it's a daunting task, with the campaigning and stuff like that. I think it's very, very difficult. And besides, we in our politics today, we need a lot more new blood in the system. We need younger people to take interest in public service and bring forth these modern day policies that I think will help the new generation and also protect the older generation as well.
Yes, sir. And I still believe that the criminal justice system is so wrong. I feel like that when you're 18 years old and you're being sent to prison as an 18 or 19, even a 20-year-old, for 15 and 20 years, there's something wrong. I don't know, I'm not the smartest person, but I just feel like there should be a separation of people in the prison. Also, in the first place, I don't believe an 18-year-old should be sent to prison for selling marijuana or cocaine.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yes, sir. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you go ahead. I'm just saying, to me, that's wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And even right here in New York, we have a program where we're trying to close one of the largest houses of detainees. A lot of people like to call it prisons, and they like to call the people housed there inmates. But in actuality, those who are housed at Rikers Island, on the most part, they're detainees because they haven't been convicted of a crime as of yet. And most people housed there have bails of, in most instances, under $500. And the atrocities that take place there, in fact, there was just a new policy passed that don't allow people under 18 to be held in solitary confinement. That law was just passed recently, and there's a movement as we speak around the closing of Rikers Island and moving those people who are detained there to local facilities in their own boroughs, which would make it easier for visitation and just keep people closer to home. And I'm for that policy, and in the hopes that the city will agree to close that facility and bring those detainees closer to home.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm for that, too. The prison you're talking about in New York City, that's a pretty guarded, I guess the word is guarded prison.
Oh, absolutely. Rikers Island is notorious. It's in fact, there has been a new documentary produced by Bill Moyers about Rikers, and people in your listening audience should try to get a hold of it and watch it, because in fact, it's been airing on PBS. I don't know what PBS stations you have in your area, but I'm sure if you check your schedule, it'll probably be on somewhere around the country going forward, because it's pretty dynamic and it's thought-provoking, and it'll give you an idea from people who are housed there, from their perspective, about some of the atrocities that took place.
Yeah. Are you familiar with, I don't want to pronounce his name wrong, Mr. Muma? Muma?
Are you talking about Momir Abdul-Jamal? He was housed
sir.
in one of the prisons in Pennsylvania. Yes, I'm very, very familiar. In fact, there's going to be a program coming up in New York with one of the MOVE members, which Momir supported when he was a journalist in Philadelphia. And they're having a program for her in a few weeks. And, he was able to come off of death row, and now he's being housed and trying to get medical treatment for some illnesses he has. And
one of them is hepatitis.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but there are people, when you think about people who are dedicated to that issue, you think of people like Pam Africa, who has been a stalwart and a strong supporter of Momir, and she spearheads a lot of the movement in his support, and she's been doing it for years and years and years, and she's one of those people who is really one of my heroes because of her dedication and just a commitment to something that's so important to her.
Yes, sir. He has his own radio show. It's called Prison Radio, him and others.
Absolutely.
He's simply asking for basic rights of medications, so he won't
yes.
hepatitis, just basic rights that every human being should have. And he doesn't even have, they at one time, I don't know if they have or not, but there was a time during this year when they did not want to give him a hepatitis shot, and I think that's awful.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I get it.
It's so discriminatory, and it's so evil.
Absolutely. In fact, I get a chance to hear some of those commentaries over a radio station here. It's a Pacifica radio station called WBAI. They have stations around the country, but here in New York, it's on radio station WBAI, and I get a chance to hear some of those commentaries on that station from time to time. So I get a chance to keep track of some of his commentaries.
Yes, and he's it's just simple, basic rights. He even wrote when a child dies about 10-minute rights. It's just basic medication.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how a man can. Absolutely, but it's amazing to me how a man can be incarcerated and so be on top of all the social occurrences and things that are happening around the world, and he's so well versed in what's going on, and it's almost refreshing, to hear someone who has been locked down for so many years have a good grasp on what's been happening on the outside. I find it to be amazing.
Okay. Yes. He was a former Black Panther.
Absolutely.
And the history of the Black Panthers, I don't know how many people are familiar with the history of the Black Panthers and, the younger people, but the Black Panthers started off in the North. And they believed in making sure the neighborhoods were secure. There were they would make sure people got free doctor care, health fairs and things like that, and they did great things for the community, the Black community.
Absolutely. But they fell victim, particularly when you look at the party that began in Oakland, California, in the late '60s. With Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale and different people like that. I think what happened is that if you're familiar with COINTELPRO and how the federal government, particularly the FBI, started a counterintelligence program against the group, and it just created so much dysfunction and mistrust that it was hard for the group to move forward in any kind of positive way. So, and it's just one of those instances of history that we would hope that we would learn something from it.
Yes, but there's so many younger people don't know their history. But I do know one thing: this generation is not going to go back to the cotton field. If Black Lives Matter gives anyone an inkling, an idea, the younger generation, they're not gonna put up with that. They really aren't.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not gonna put up with picking cotton or fixing computers for no pay.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? This generation, they're not going to do that.
Yeah. But, that's just the challenge that we have, going forward, because what's going to happen is that they'll have their own methods as to how to handle it. I remember the older people when I was a young child in the 60s, how my views of the world were a lot different than my parents' views of the world.
Yes, I understand that. But like I said, it may not be the cotton field, but fixing
Right.
computers.
Well, it'll be the 21st century cotton fields, that's for sure.
Yeah, 21st century. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. It's not, because this generation is not going to put up with that. They're not. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
How many Ku Klux Klan members there are? How many racist whites? They're not going to be working on the 21st century cotton field.
No, I agree.
For free, no pay. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're a strong generation. They're not stupid. They're far from stupid.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're very intelligent.
They sure are.
This younger generation is smart. There's nothing dumb.
Absolutely, and I see them every day at the rallies all around the city and different programs. I see them out there. So, and you're absolutely right. They're a smart group, and we just got to keep up with what they're doing, because they'll definitely lead the way going forward.
Now, it's and I'm proud of the young people who are really standing up. Mr. Thornborn, did you know that in 2016, that the United States of America has the largest class of Black American males and females who are graduating with bachelor degrees, master degrees, and PhDs that's ever graduated in the United States history?
Absolutely. I do know that. Okay. Yes, and I do know that, and I have family members who are in that category, so I see it all the time, even in my own family, in my community, even in my church. For instance, I work on I'm one of the Bible school instructors at my church for teenagers, and every season, there's some are going off to college and private schools and things like that. So I see it in my community, I see it in my church, and I see it in my own family.
Yes, sir. I see it in my own family. My brothers and sisters, quite a few of them have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and working on PhDs.
Exactly.
In my own family. I'm not, but they are. They're like
absolutely, absolutely, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
27, they ain't going for that.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. So you're working on a book. This is supposed to be about your book.
A lot of what we talk about is either in a new work or in some of my older work. So we're talking about stuff that's really hits home for me. So, it's all in the same vein.
Yes, sir. I have a lot of respect for you. Like I said, the favorite show is yours out of about 1,100 or more shows.
Well, that's a compliment.
I listen to it still. Because it's so much I didn't know as a Southern Black person. I did not know so many different things that you were talking about. So once the show ended way back in 2012 and 2013, I went researching.
Right.
And I learned a whole lot. That's how I found out about Mr. Muma Abal. I'm sorry.
Mumia, exactly.
Yeah, in the prison radio, because I contacted him, because you talked about him when I tried to get an interview, and it didn't happen. No, it didn't happen, but, I still tried.
But you still have to, there's people that, that are around him that could possibly make that happen for you. It's just something that you really have to really keep pushing forward. Like one of the people that really keeps in touch with him is Pam Africa. If you Google her name, a lot of information will come up. And the person who helps him with his commentary, I can't think of the first name, but the last name is Hanrahan. And these are the people who have been in close contact with Mumia for years, and, he has their complete trust. So I'm sure if you contact some of them and let them know, your platform and, you have a real fine radio program, and I'm sure that they would agree to try to make some kind of hookup that he can come on your air as well. And also, they may allow you to use some of his commentary, and so you can air it on your show.
Yes, sir.
So, and all those might be a possibility as well.
Yes,
but the issues of political prisoners. It's been, we've got people who have been incarcerated for almost 40 years here in New York. There's political prisoners have been in prison for over 40 years. So it's been an ongoing problem nationwide, and it would be a good idea to try to get a handle on it and see what we could do about it.
I was hoping President Obama pardoned him, but I guess that's not possible.
Well, we'll see what happens. That we just have to wait until that last day in office to see what transpires. And like I say, anything is possible. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, I know Miss Mance. I did a show on her way back in 2010 and 2012. President Barack Obama pardoned Miss Danielle Mance. Her husband is still in prison. She received life sentences for 20 years. She's from Louisiana, New Orleans.
Yes.
So unfair. She was like 23 when she went to prison, and she's 1 year older than me. And she had 2 kids.
Yes. We see that all over the country. It's just it's the prison industrial complex, and now we're going to see, maybe the resurgence of private prisons and, stop and frisk, depending upon who these people are who coming into power, what kind of policies they want to put in place. We may see the return of, the stop and frisk and private prisons and stuff like that. So, it's a heavy lift, but it's a struggle that, those of us who have been in the struggle so long, it's nothing new. It's it's daunting that we have to continue to litigate and refight these struggles, So, but it's elections have consequences, and these are just one of the consequences that we have to deal with.
Yes, that's true. And the new president, Mr. Trump, has strong roots with the KKK. At least his father does. His father did. His father was
right.
And it's fact. It's proof of that. Just like there's proof that President Barack Obama was born in the United States of America, and his birth certificate shows that. Because Mr. Trump was the main one saying he wasn't really an American citizen.
Absolutely.
But just like there's proof that President Barack Obama on his birth certificate is an American citizen, there's proof that Mr. Trump's father was a high-up Ku Klux Klansman.
Absolutely. And he denied housing for people, African Americans here in New York City. So we know that legacy. So now those people are in power. But, we've seen this movie before. Those who are old enough to remember, like the Nixon administration and those kind of policies. So we know that it's going to be a struggle, but this too shall pass, and we just have to stay in tune to what's going on, and it's a wake up call for us to really understand that freedom is not free. We constantly have to battle for it, and if this is the fight that we're in, so be it. We'll deal with it.
Yes. I'm watching here in Florida. I just saw on the news that Miss Pam Bondi might have possibly an office there, but she's saying no comment really either way. But she's met with Mr. Donald Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're familiar with those stories,
Drug czar over something to do with drugs.
Exactly.
So, her legacy here is well known too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be a little hellishness.
Oh no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but a lot of black people are used to that. I mean, I'm definitely used to discrimination by the criminal justice system within my own family, even though I have family members who work in that field. Right now, they have somebody very dear to me who told about a whistleblower.
Right.
And testified for this whistleblower was also a relative. So this very close relative is being paid back for that, and for helping a close relative of hers.
Right.
It's a hers. Yeah, it hurts. You hear me? It hurts.
Exactly.
But I get my moments when one gentleman said, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "You just don't know." Yes, like, what's wrong with you? I tell you about the gentleman, but we're not gonna call no names.
No, I understand.
I don't know what's wrong with me. Think I'm a complete nut, I guess. But I'm under so much stress. It's not even funny.
Oh, it can happen. We just have to, just take our time and just deal with the circumstances and keep it moving, because we can't let it affect us to the point where we can't function, because this is a challenge right now, and we just have to be able to meet that challenge. And I think we will, because we're battle tested, and I think we're up to the fight. So
yes, sir.
I'm not worried about it, because I don't think we're up against a formidable foe. I think we're up against a flawed foe, and I think that in the end, I think we'll be on the right side of history.
Yes, sir. I believe so too. I don't believe that God is about Black America. People change the names of the race, something African Americans, Black American, Negro. The name changes, and some people may say it's confusion, lack of identity. On calling ourselves people of color, but we all know, most of us, at least I do, understand racism.
Absolutely.
I understand the pain it causes, and I also know that it will make you a stronger person, or racism either destroy you or make you a stronger person.
Absolutely.
So I chose to be the stronger person, but it's not easy.
That's right. That's right. Like our parents used to say, what don't kill us will make us strong.
Yes, sir. That's right. So you're going to be talking about the 2008 election of President Barack Obama in your book. Have you got a title for your book yet?
The working title is going to be Harlem Sun Chapter 2. And but as time goes on, I may change it. I'm still debating about how I'll move forward with it. But that's sort of the working title right now, and it's a good one, because it'll keep me focused on particularly that period right after 9/11. So, and that's kind of where that new project will begin. So
yes, I understand that. Yes, sir, I understand that. After 9/11, that was when Bin Laden had the Twin Towers, ran the planes into them, and also
exactly
Washington, D.C.
That's right. And interestingly enough, I was working in Harlem at the time, so the title will be pretty much on point, So it'll
on the last show. You told me on the last show that about the bombs that you did work there, but for some reason you woke up late, or your alarm clock didn't go off, or something went wrong, and that's why.
No, absolutely. Actually on 9/11, my office was at 7 World Trade Center, and I was running late for work that day because I was looking for a particular tie I couldn't find. And in fact, I chronicled that story in my book. But that's just there by the grace of God go I, and I firmly believe that. So it's occurrences that really just changed the world, And in the new project, I'll talk about that, how the city really changed. I remember the first day I went back to work, I was taking a train up to Harlem from Long Island, and I remember how quiet the train was. And when I got to Penn Station, there were people walking around holding photos of family members at the time who were missing and not accounted for, and just the real traumatic, occurrences that took place during those weeks after the attack. So I'll chronicle a lot of that stuff, and along with some personal things and some political things, and just try to make it real interesting to open up the book with.
Yes. Okay. So, how is New York now? Since 2001. This is 2016. Is there any?
Well, New York is a changing place. For instance, there's going to be 1 million new people from around the world coming to live in New York City, and that really puts a lot of stress on the housing. People, poor and middle class people, who are trying to live here and continue to live here with the higher rents, and there's buildings coming up all over the place. Where I live in downtown Brooklyn, I mean, there's a brand new skyline. There used to be one of the landmarks of Brooklyn skyline for many, many years was it was a watchtower. And that was when you come across the Brooklyn Bridge coming into Brooklyn, that would be an iconic building that you would see. But now it's a brand new skyline of buildings now in downtown Brooklyn. It's unbelievable. Those who haven't been here in years probably won't recognize it. And also the neighborhoods, like places like Bedford-Stuyvesant, are completely beginning to gentrify, and people who have been living there for years and years can't afford to live there and moving out. And it's a changing neighborhood. Even where I live in Clinton Hill, it's the housing, the cost of housing has tripled in some instances.
Oh my goodness! I was told that about New York, that is, the mortgages and the rent payments are astronomical.
Oh, absolutely. People think. Go ahead. Do I know why that is?
Yes. So
because why? You're asking me that question?
Yes, sir.
It's the demand for housing for people who want to come and they want to live in New York. They, a lot of the tech industries are coming here. Like Google has a huge building. They hire thousands of people right in the area of Lower Manhattan called the Meatpacking District, and they hire thousands and thousands of people. And a large segment of the movie industry is here now. For instance, on my block, there's not a month that goes by where there's not a movie set and a blocking of streets to shoot movies. So a lot of that kind of activity is taking place here in New York. So, and like I say, 1 million people from around the world will be coming to live here. So it's an amazing city still, but we just gotta hope that we can come up with some policies that people who want to remain here, who have been here all their lives, and this is the only place they know. We hope that they'll find an affordable way that they can continue to live here. Because, I always tell my friends, if something were to happen again, we're going to be the people here that's going to be left to do the cleanup, because those who are wealthy will be gone, and those true native New Yorkers will be the ones left to do the cleanup. So it's our hope that we'll find a way to create policies that people want to continue to live here, and particularly those who call New York their home, that they'll be able to afford to live here. And that's an ongoing battle. It's going to be a heavy lift, but I think we can get it done.
Yes. Yes, I believe that too. I just received the email on I believe it 5 hours ago, as a matter of fact. Mr. Mumar Abdul Jabal. I hope I did not pronounce his name wrong.
Momi, you talking about Momi Abdul Jamal? Yeah, from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, from not necessarily from him, but from his organization.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, they're talking about it's called PrisonRadio.com.
Right, correct. That's exactly what it's called.
Those they're saying that 7.1 million people under correctional control. And
that's right.
People seem to believe that the people on the inside are less human than those on the outside. But they're still people too. Those are still human beings in those.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
What they're saying in their email to me.
Yes, and what a lot of people don't understand is that we don't care for our mentally ill. What we do is our solution for mentally ill people, particularly our African-American men, are just to lock them up, And then when they act up in general population, then they want to put them in solitary confinement, which makes them incredibly worse. So, we have to come to grips with our mental illness issues as well. And I think we'll find a large population of that affected group will be incarcerated, and we have to address those issues as well.
Yes, I understand mental illness, because I have a mental illness. At least I'm told that I do. So I understand. I'm a diabetic also, so I understand a lot of things about mental illness. People can be cruel. People can be very cruel.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it's going to just take a little bit more education, a little bit more awareness, and it just. People just create policies that will address it and not just leave it to people just to handle on their own accord. It's a community issue, and we'll find that there's probably not a family that in the sound of our voice that doesn't have a family member who's affected by it. So, it's something that we need to create policies for, firstly, and secondly, deal with it as a community.
Yes, the criminal justice system within this community and the racism within this area, the Panhandle, that most people do not see, who are just visiting the beaches and passing through. The people who live within the Panhandle see the discrimination, feel the discrimination, and I'm not immune to it because I go through it too. It's just people like you from New York talk about discrimination, but when I talk about discrimination, I'm talking about a lynching from 6 or 7 years ago within my own family, a funeral I went to. You talk about
I understand.
You talk about stop and frigs, and I talk about a hanging within my own family.
There you go.
That are in Alabama, Alabama jail.
Right.
Daylight. So when you came on my show, I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, that's similar, some of that to the South. I was born in a small town, and I'm still in that small town. So, of course, if I was to come to New York, I probably would behave very differently because some of the things I wouldn't be accustomed to, it would be different to me.
Well, there's a great radio personality, and you can listen to him online. His name is Gary Bird, and what he calls places like New York is up south. He says that we live in up south. So I think you'll find some of the similarities that you see in the South. I think you'll see some of those. You'll see some of those same familiar things happening right here in New York.
I believe that racist people just migrated to, racism just migrated to the north. That some of the same people, the same mentality and beliefs in the North that are in the South.
That's true. That's true.
They migrate.
It's just that it's an ongoing battle that we gotta just come to grips with it. So
yes. Someone sent me this from the Daily Calls, Turnout PhD by Daily Calls. I'm get advertising for them.
Right.
About that President Obama's election day should be a national holiday.
Right.
Okay. So, when you in 2008, as a male, or African American male, Black American male, I mean, what were you feeling, Mr. Thornborn, when President Barack Obama? It was said that he was going to run for president of the United, that he had won the election for president of the United States of America. What was your reaction?
Well, I was one of those people who was excited about it. But then, after doing a lot of research about when, at that time, State Senator Obama in the state of Illinois, when I looked at his record down when he was a state senator, down in Springfield, Illinois, you just came to the sense that he was going to be sort of a middle of the road kind of president. For instance, he could have been elected as a moderate Republican in some instances. So my feeling was that he wasn't going to be that really strong progressive kind of president that a lot of people thought that he would be. And, and I think over the 8 years, it truly came to pass that, he wasn't that real radical president that people thought they would see, And I think for a lot of people, progressives and people on the left, there was a lot of frustration there. So, and I always said that President Obama lived between Barack and a hard place because it seemed like he could never satisfy anybody. It's people on the right said that he was too radical, and they called him a socialist, and people on the left said that he didn't go far enough. In fact, even with just 45 days left in his office, there are a lot of people on the left who say that, he didn't, complete his promises. Like, for instance, they complained that he hasn't closed Guantanamo Bay yet. So, and those are the kind of issues that he faced from people from the left. So, but in the main, I think history is going to be good to him. And again, it's just one of those battles. We'll come to grips with it and we'll deal with it, and it'll be a struggle, going forward. But I think we're up to the task, so we'll deal with it as it comes along.
Yes, and why aren't you a politician, Mr. Thornburn? I know you're an African-American mediator, and you have that organization, but why aren't you running for public office?
No, it's
smart enough to.
Because see, people who do that kind of work, like policymakers, I know a bunch of them right here, and even in my community, and the people who do it well, for me, people who work in politics, it's really a craft. There are some people who do it so well, and you have to respect that, Like, for instance, there's a state senator in Westchester County, which is a little north of me. She is a supreme state senator. Her name is Andrea Stewart Cousins, and she's the kind of policy maker that you just learn to respect, and she just knows her way around Albany, New York, which is the state capital. And it's just a smart person, like my own congressman here, Hakeem Jeffries, who's just a bright, intelligent person who knows policy. There's in my neighboring, in Bedford-Stuyvesant, which neighbors me, they have a councilman named Robert Carnegie. And he's just a real bright, intelligent guy who knows policy, who writes policy. So people who do that work are really special. And they're true public servants. So, for instance, I have a district leader in my district who's like the person who's a liaison between the community and the elected officials. And she is just, just really good at her work. And I've learned to respect those people. And also, as I get to know them and respect their work, I also learn to stay in my lane.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, because it's really a craft.
Okay.
It's a craft. It's a craft. So, and they do it well. So I wouldn't want to impede on any of that kind of work. But I keep on top of what's going on because it's the stuff that affects me. As a middle-aged person who's on Social Security, I think about issues of the elderly, people, with mental illness because my mom suffered from it. I stay on top of affordable housing issues and things like that, and just things that affect middle-aged people like health care and Social Security and things like that. So I advocate around things like that. And, of course, education because, I have children, grandkids in school, so education is real important. And, my wife was an educator for over 33 years, so it's conversations that take place in my home all the time, so it's an important issue for us as well.
Yes, my mother believes in education. She's got two different degrees, and she's been valedictorian, I believe, twice. She's real smart. My mother is. She's a very intelligent woman. Yeah. Very intelligent. She didn't get credit for it, though, not here. And she didn't want credit.
Right.
She did. She just wanted to make sure.
She just wants to do her work. Exactly. Yeah.
My mom was a Black Panther.
Okay.
She was.
Now, that was down in Louisiana?
No, sir. My mom is not from Louisiana. I'm in Florida. I'm near the Alabama state line.
Oh, okay.
State line. I'm closer to Alabama than I am Tallahassee or Atlanta.
Right.
Beach or that's I'm closer to Alabama. I'm in Northwest Florida, the Panhandle.
Exactly.
Even though I live in the Panhandle, I'm still closer. The Panhandle, I'm still closer to Dothan, Alabama.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a very intelligent family. Very intelligent people. All of them are. All of them.
It's funny when you mention that your mom was a Black Panther. When I think of Black Panthers in the South, I think of people like Geronimo Pratt. He was from Louisiana, and he moved to California, and he was very instrumental in the movement out in California, and he came from the South as well. So it brings people, when you say Black Panther Party in the South, that it brings to mind people like Geronimo Pratt.
My mother just simply wanted her children to do better in life than her and have an easier life.
Right.
That's what she's always told us, and education is very important to her. I have numerous brothers and sisters. Well, I have 6 brothers and sisters. Very intelligent. Gosh, they're smart. I had a sister who worked in Washington, D.C. with President Bush and Secretary Clinton, and I guess a little bit of President Barack Obama. I mean, and she's 30 years old. She's smart. She was valedictorian too of her high school, but she left this little area and she went on to do bigger and better things.
Right.
Yeah, real smart young lady. She's not even 30 though, and she's accomplished a whole lot and already has a smart young woman. I have a brother who's definitely smart, but he stayed around here too long. But he's gonna make it. God's gonna make a way for him too. He's a paralegal. He's gonna make it. God is gonna see good. No amount of discrimination is gonna stop God from blessing people.
You better believe it, and I'm a firm believer in that as well.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that he went back to where my grandmama and granddaddy were from the state of Alabama.
Mhm.
I told him, I said, that's amazing what God can do. I said, because our grandparents were run from Alabama by the Ku Klux Klan.
Right.
And you're the grandson of Granddaddy. I'm not gonna say his name, Granddaddy. And you backing up, I'm like, wow, thank God, something. I mean, I said, God is something else. I said, God, don't forget.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Enough bragging. I'm proud of him.
And you should be.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. But back to the mental illness, I understand that because, like I said, I have a mental illness. I stopped speaking about mental illness many years ago because I happened to be on a local Alabama television show doing mental health awareness, and
right.
It didn't go well within the area that I'm in. Mental illness has been used against me a lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
But I always say people who recognize the illness do better than those who are in denial.
No, I know what's wrong with me, and I know what it takes. It's just something I live with. I don't think it's good, though, for someone like me to be heartbroken so much.
Yeah, but that's one of the bitter pills that we have to deal with from time to time. But
yeah.
we get through that too.
Yes. So, what month is your book coming out in? Because I want an autograph.
I'm
read it through and through.
I'm gonna tell you honestly, it'll be about 18 months, but I'm gonna really begin to work on it. Around the first of the year.
You've been working on some other things, Mr. Thornburn, because I contacted you on social media. That's how I met you, talked to you. So, but there are some other things that you worked on. Your book is not the only thing. I mean, there are other stuff that you told me about, and it's a lady that you were talking about that I went and researched. She's a writer. I can't think of her name right now, but I went and researched her. Aren't you writing about a lady that was a writer? You told me about it. You told me to Google her.
Well, there's a lot of writers I like. My goodness, where do I begin? People like Tony.
Something about her. Gosh, God, I hate it when I do that, when I can't remember names. I hate getting older.
Oh, man. Oh, yes. Wait a minute. Matter of fact, I went to visit her gravesite. Zara Neale Hurston. Yes. Yeah, Zara Neale Hurston. Yeah, I went to Fort Pierce to visit her gravesite.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she's a great inspiration for me. She is she's one of those people that keep to keep the past from disappearing. Because after a few generations, if you lived in for instance, if there was like folklore in places like Alabama that you were familiar with, people will probably, if you wrote about it, people say, why are you talking about that old-fashioned stuff, or, why are you bringing back that old stuff? But it's important to keep that old stuff alive because that was part of the legacy of the community and the way people spoke and the way their customs and things like that. It's important to keep that stuff alive. And one of the great inspirations I got from Zara Neale Hurston is when the years that I lived in Huntington, Long Island, and it really was a tale of two towns because, there were people, that way I like to say it is there were people who mowed the lawn and there were people who cut the grass, and I like to tell the stories about people who cut the grass. And the people who are my age that lived there at the time, they really appreciate those old stories, and we get a chance when we get a chance to meet, we talk about it. And then I write stories about it in social media, like on Facebook. I write stories, the old stories about the 60s when I first moved there, and a lot of the old timers from that town, they chime in with their own stories, and they give me stories to write about. So it's just a fun time, and I got the inspiration to do that from Zora Neale Hurston.
So, yes, sir. That's her name, Miss Hurston. She's
right. Yes.
So you were talking about mental illness.
Right.
That's something I don't talk about because of the times that it's been used against me to hurt me, even though I know that it's not my fault, that I'm not doing anything wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
The media showing the killings and blaming things on mentally ill people, which I feel is unfair because there are millions and millions of mentally ill people who haven't killed anyone.
Oh, absolutely. And, we just need to have policies and not just – I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, sir. That's what I didn't agree with President Barack Obama on because a lot of people, there are millions and millions of mentally ill people of all races, sexes, and male, females, and black, white, Cuban, Mexican, Asian, and they haven't killed anyone. That's what I did not agree with him on. And I saw the killings. I saw those mass killings. To me, those people were not mentally ill. They were just mad.
Yes.
And racist. Yeah. They were just mad and even to a certain point evil. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because most people who are mentally ill, even when they're incarcerated, if you knew what I knew and seen and read from the people from the Wall of Tolerance in Montgomery, Alabama, which is started by what's his name? They have the Wall of Tolerance. My mom's name is on the Wall of Tolerance in Montgomery, Alabama.
Right.
Great woman. My mom is. She's a mother of 6 kids, but she's a great woman. Great woman. I don't think she ever heard it enough, though.
Yeah.
But I know Miss Rosa Parks. They're not just the Wall of Tolerance. Oh, God, I can't believe I forgot. And I went to the experiment. Anyway, Miss Rosa Parks. And
exactly.
Gave Mama a certificate. She was there. This was when she was still living, Miss Parks. She had aged a whole lot then. This was about, God, this had to be at least 9 years ago when Mama wanted this with some other people. And she was giving certificates and things, and Miss Rosa Parks' name was on the Wall of Tolerance. And the name of the organization in Montgomery, Alabama, I cannot even think of it. But anyway, it was started by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the prison, I learned about the Alabama prison system for mentally ill people, and it's something that I cannot speak about.
Exactly.
It's horrible. It's some of the prisons in Alabama and Mississippi where people are mentally, or it's like nothing you have ever heard of, Mr. Thornborn.
No, I understand. My mom was from Bethlehem, Alabama, so I'm familiar with that neck of the woods.
Yes, sir, but not modern day. You're not. It's
right. No, I agree.
Some of those prisons in Alabama and Mississippi are some of the most unsanitary, inhuman conditions.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Including for youth in juvenile detention centers, particularly black youth.
Right.
It's scary. It's horrible. It's like nothing you have ever heard of or seen.
Right.
People subscribe to that and they send them out through the mail and people read them.
Right.
And know what's going on. You remember that, so you get their brochures and things in their magazines. So, and they're not lying.
No, absolutely not.
They're not. But anyway, my mom, Miss Rosa Parks, and there was another man's signature on. I just can't remember. I can't believe I forgot them. Anyway, Miss Rosa Parks. That was a great day when Miss Rosa Parks handed my mama the award, and that played along with about, I think, 50 to 75 other people. Some of them were from overseas that came out.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So it was a great day. It was a great day.
I bet you it was.
Mr. Morris D., he's a white man, yes. He's over that now. He has been for a number of years. But Dr.
Right.
Martin Luther King Jr. started it. And to me, Miss Till, Emmett Till's mother.
Right.
So
Mamie Till Mosley.
I met her. I got to shake her hand. I got to shake Miss Rosa Parks' hand. I mean, it was something to be remembered by me and my family.
Yes. There's a gentleman here in New York named Keith Beauchamp. He is a wonderful filmmaker, and he did a documentary on Emmett Till and Emmett Till's mom.
Yes, I got to shake her hand.
Yes.
Yes, so, well, Mr. Thornborn, you told me I could call you Kevin.
You can call me Kevin, please.
So it's like talking to a friend, just talking to a friend. I don't know how this show is going to go over with the people who listen to the show, but I thank you.
We just pray that there'll be just a fly on the wall, that they just impeded on a personal conversation. And I think that's the best radio. That's the best radio.
Yes. And Mr. Thornburn, thank you. And I'm sorry that your book is 18 months away.
No, it takes time, And when I get going, it pretty much writes itself when I get going. So let's see how it goes.
Receive a publishing contract. I mean.
Yes, that happened about 6 months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that happened about 6 months ago. They're waiting on me right now. So that process that process took place about 6 months ago. They're just waiting on me to complete the book right now. So. Like I said, 2017 will be the time when I will just buckle down and just do what I need to do to get it done.
All right. Okay, I look forward to reading that. And I still would like an autographed copy. I said that 3 times.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope you remember me, Mr. Thornburn.
No, don't you worry. Don't you worry.
So I just got one more question because this has been over an hour. What are you Are you still? Do you still have the African American mediator? Because you're a mediator.
Yes, I am, and I work. I work pro bono in my community. I help people in landlord-tenant disputes, and I specialize in employment law and helping people file EEOC claims, and in fact, I just completed an affirmative action manual for a government contractor. So I stay busy in that field. I take sessions over at the Fordham Law School here in New York City. So I stay active, and I'm still, school is a constant thing for me, and I always look to educate myself and learn new things. So I stay active in that process as well.
Now, you had, at one time, your first book already, you had a shoe store, and you went to Italy, overseas.
Well, that's another side of me that I enjoy. Yes. I love clothing and shoes, and it's just another aspect of my life that I totally enjoy. I enjoy fashion. I enjoy talking to all the merchants. I go out and I talk to all the merchants, and one of the side things that I'm really, really thinking about is doing a documentary on people who try to make a living in the clothing business.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And that's just one of the things that I enjoy doing, so.
You must be very well dressed.
Okay. Well, I just grew up I just grew up in the business, so it's like in my blood, it's just something, like the great drummer. When I first met the great drummer Art Blakey, he told me, he says, they see you before they hear you, so I always took that to heart. And it's just something I enjoy, the clothing, the hand of the fabric and all that kind of stuff. It's just that it's in my blood.
Okay. All right. Well, Mrs. Thornbaugh, I'm going to have to end this show.
I appreciate it. But I truly appreciate talking with you.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. And you're welcome back at any time.
I appreciate that, Angela. And good luck to your listening audience and happy holidays to everyone. And I look forward to speaking to you real, real soon.
And I hope you also have a happy holidays, and I hope you enjoy Thanksgiving.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Good night now.
Good night. All right, everyone. You've been listening to Show Talk with Angela Butler. That was Mr. Thornborn. Yes, this has been a long show. Sorry about that. When I get to talking to Mr. Thornborn, believe it or not, I'm learning something. I'm always learning when he's on the show, and he's a gifted writer. Mr. Thornborn, when you read his book, Harlem's Son by Kevin Wendell Thornborn, it would make you feel like you're actually there, experiencing everything. That's how gifted a writer is. He's even met with, I believe it was Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner with Vice President Gore and his wife, Miss Gore. It was either Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. I have to go back and reread the book. He lived through 9/11. He was looking for a tie, as you heard him say. Just a fantastic, intelligent man. He really is. And I look forward to his next book. And once again, it's been a long show. Thank you all who decided listening to Show Talk with Angela Butler. Everyone, have a good night.